So the Eagles just got some huge injury updates with several key players returning to practice ahead of the Birds matchup with the Rams, including Sidney Brown, who it seems like may actually have a significant role on Sunday, potentially at the slot cornerback position. However, the Eagles did also get some bad news on Fletcher Cox, who had to have an epidural in his back this week, so if he can't go, the Eagles will need others to step up, because this matchup with the Rams offense was already going to be a tough test for the Eagles defense, who struggled last week with the Commanders, especially with the Rams probably getting back arguably their best offensive player. Plus, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense don't have it so easy either. So will they be able to continue their success into this game versus the Rams? Well, we're going to talk about that and more in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So ahead of the Eagles and Rams Week 5 matchup, we've got a bunch of huge injury updates, starting with the return of a few starters, as after missing last week's game versus the Commanders, starting safety Justin Evans has been back as a full participant in practice this week, so it seems like he should be completely ready to go for this game against the Rams to slide right back into his starting role, which is huge because yes, although Evans isn't some star caliber player, he really hasn't been bad to start the year, and I'd definitely rather have him out there at safety over Terrell Edmonds at this point, just based on what I've seen from the both of them to begin the year. And then the Eagles also seem to have another starter set to make his return this week, as after missing the past 2 games with a hamstring injury, wide receiver Quez Watkins was back as a full participant in practice this week, so he seems slated to make his return versus the Rams. And this is going to be interesting because Olamide Zaccheaus, although he didn't put up crazy numbers or anything like that, he did make some nice plays in Quez's absence, and although I don't think he did enough to fully take the wide receiver 3 job away, I also think that you can't completely take him off the field, so I guess we'll see what the Eagles decide to do with Quez returning. Then moving on, the Eagles also have some more players who are practicing but limited, one of them being punt returner Covey, who, by the way, huge shout out to Covey for playing as well as he has since late last year. He's quietly become one of the best punt returners in the NFL, and I think a lot of fans, including myself, are just starting to realize it, so it only helped the Eagles to have him healthy for this game, and it seems like he might actually have a chance, as even though he was put into concussion protocol after the Eagles win over the Commanders, he has progressed from not practicing to limited as the week went on, so maybe that's a good sign, and hopefully he's ready to go for Sunday. And someone else who hopefully can go Sunday is the rookie Sidney Brown, who missed last week's game with a hamstring injury. He was out of practice all last week, but now this week he has returned but has yet to be a full participant as of Thursday, so his status is still up in the air of whether he'll be ready for this Week 5 game. Hamstring is one of those injuries that can kind of drag on and nag throughout a season if not handled properly, so maybe the Eagles want to be cautious and not play him, but then again, maybe he's progressed to the point where they feel like he's good enough to play and the chance of re-injury is low, so we'll definitely have a more concrete update on that by Friday afternoon, so I guess we'll see. But assuming Brown does play, you have to wonder whether he has a realistic shot at starting at slot cornerback. I mean, a couple weeks ago versus the Bucs, Brown came in and played in the slot for a few snaps, and he performed well, and he would have undoubtedly got a lot more snaps there throughout the game if he didn't go down with that injury in the second quarter. Plus, he also has had a lot of experience playing the slot cornerback position in college, so with him potentially returning, it would make a lot of sense that he plays a lot of snaps there this week, and that was reinforced by a report by Thomas R. Peterson from Wednesday's practice saying that Sidney Brown and newly acquired slot cornerback Bradley Roby were working in the slot, and James Bradberry was working with the outside cornerbacks. So then, assuming that Bradberry is going to go back to playing primarily outside and one of Brown or Roby gets to start in the slot, I honestly would think that Brown is the more likely option simply because he's been here. He was here throughout the entire offseason and he just knows the defense a lot better than Roby, who just signed a few days ago, and he's technically still on the practice squad at this point. So I think Roby will eventually become the starter in the slot if everything goes according to plan, but to expect him to start this week might not be the most realistic thing. So what do you guys think? Who will end up starting in the slot versus the Rams? Will it be Sidney Brown? Will it be Bradley Roby? Or will the Eagles just continue to roll with James Bradberry? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, in addition to all these positive injury developments the Eagles got this week, they also got a few negative ones, starting with defensive tackle Marlon Tuipulotu, who missed practice with a triceps injury this week, and it seems like he'll probably miss the game on Sunday. Then starting right guard Cam Jurgens has been out ever since being listed week to week with a foot sprain, so as I talked about in my video a few days ago, he's almost guaranteed to miss the Rams matchup, and he's expected to miss at least a few games. And then probably the biggest negative injury update we got ahead of this game specifically is regarding Fletcher Cox, as he popped up on the injury report this week with a back problem, but even though it just showed up this week, this is something he had apparently been dealing with for the past couple weeks, and he actually now has underwent a procedure this week to deal with it, as Ian Rappaport said, quote, Eagles defensive lineman Fletcher Cox underwent an epidural injection procedure this week to alleviate discomfort he'd been experiencing in his back over the past couple weeks. Source said, if he has to miss any time, the expectation is it's not more than one game. And now since this report came out, Derek Gunn has said that Fletcher Cox will not play on Sunday, so that'll be a big blow for this Eagles defense. Fletcher Cox has obviously kind of revived himself so far this year, and that's not to say that he was playing bad last year or anything like that, but this year he just seems to be playing the best he has played in a while. So with him him out, other guys on the defensive line are gonna have to step up, like Jalen Carter, for example, who's now more than likely gonna get his first career start with Cox out. Carter has obviously been unbelievable to begin his career. I mean, the kid has the second most pressures of any defensive tackle in the league, behind just Aaron Donald, who of course the Eagles will face this week, and he's done it in 85 less snaps than AD. Plus, Carter is also the 4th highest graded defender by PFF through 4 weeks, so the Eagles again are going to be relying on Carter to have a good game in Cox's absence, and I'm honestly just really excited to see what Carter's able to do with a higher snap count. Now, someone else who the Birds are going to want to have a good game is the other starting defensive tackle, Jordan Davis, who has put the NFL on notice this season by being the leader of one of the top run defenses in the league, as despite being the most double-team defensive tackle in the entire NFL this year at a rate of 53%, Davis still has the highest run-stop win rate among defensive tackles at 55%. And in addition to his dominance against the run, Davis has also obviously taken a big leap this year as a pass rusher, so Davis, Carter, and that Eagles defensive line are going to need to find a way to be effective and make Matt Stafford uncomfortable in this game, even without Fletcher Cox. Because this game is surely going to be a tough test for the Eagles defense as a whole. I mean, the Rams offense has been pretty good through 4 games. They're number 4 in yards per game, sitting just ahead of the Eagles, and most of their damage has come through the air, as they're the number 2 passing offense in the NFL right now, with Matthew Stafford having a good comeback year after dealing with an injury-riddled 2022 season. Now, Stafford is dealing with a hip injury this week that he suffered in the game versus the Colts, but he was a full participant in practice on Thursday, and he will be good to go for Sunday according to reports. Now, will it affect him at all? That remains to be seen, but it definitely helps that he's got some elite weapons on the outside. Starting with surprise 5th-round rookie Puka Nacua, who has 501 receiving yards through his first 4 career games, which is the most in NFL history in a player's first 4 games. I mean, Puka Nacua has been absolutely unreal, so he's going to look to continue his dominance in this game versus the Eagles. And then the Rams are also expected to get their best offensive player back in wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who missed the beginning of the season while on IR because of a hamstring injury, but he was back at practice in full capacity on Thursday, and according to reports today, he's expected to make his season debut in this game versus the Eagles. So if he is in fact back, the Eagles will certainly have their hands full when trying to deal with these 2 elite weapons. And for a pass defense that has struggled in general, and particularly with the quick passing game to begin the year, this will no doubt be a huge test. And again, as I've said in previous videos, what I think the Eagles need to do is press up a bit more. So lay off the soft zone coverage a bit and give your defensive line and pass rush just a bit of extra time to get home. Do that, and I think the Eagles defense will be able to have a lot more success this week than they did last week versus the Commanders, even against this prolific passing offense that the Rams have. Now, real quick, before we continue on with the rest of the video, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Around 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you're one of those people and you love content covering the Philadelphia Eagles, make sure you go fix that right now, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss when any other videos covering the Eagles are uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. Now, with that being said, let's get back into the video. But speaking of prolific pass offenses, that's exactly what the Birds offense was last week, with Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and DeVonta Smith all having nice performances versus the Commanders. AJ Brown obviously went off with 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts also definitely had his best game of the season, but just in general, this pass offense has improved pretty much every single game this year, and Jalen Hurts also has gotten better and better all the way until last week, where again, he looked like Jalen Hurts from last year. He looked like an MVP candidate at times, and I mean, some of the throws he made were absolutely beautiful, and just over the past 2 weeks, Jalen Hurts is number 1 in the NFL in passing yards, so he's going to look to continue his success through the year in this Week 5 game, although it won't be super easy, as the Rams' pass defense has been solid to start the year, as they've allowed under 200 yards passing per game on average, so we'll see if Jalen, AJ, DeVonta, Dallas Goedert, and the others are able to have success through the air in this game. I personally think that they will. I mean, they've been really getting into a rhythm offensively these past few weeks, and with all these elite weapons, the offensive line dominating, and Hurts hitting his stride, I don't see why they won't continue their improvements and have another solid game versus the Rams. And then rushing-wise, the Rams haven't been amazing at stopping that this year, so I could see DeAndre Swift having another big performance, especially if the Eagles get the lead early and they want to chew some clock by pounding it on the ground. Plus, with DeAndre Swift still being number 2 in the NFL in rushing and also having the most rushing yards in a 4-game span by an Eagle since LaShawn McCoy back in 2013, I think it's safe to say he could have another very good day. All that being said, I'm curious to know what you guys think will happen in this game and who's going to come out with the win. I personally got the Eagles winning by a score of 31-24, but again, you guys let me know what you think the outcome will be down in the comments. And also, if you did enjoy this video, again, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, drop a like on this video if you did enjoy it to show some support. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.